I keep getting people sending me videos of yours. Shout out to you and shout out to me, because now when people see you, they think of me. That's what's up. One in particular is very relevant because we come from the festive season. And it was about how black families, and you speak about black families. I saw some comments were like, it's not just black families. And
Yes.
siyababongela lababanye. We're speaking from our experience.
Yep.
No feedback culture. We don't take criticism.
Yep.
The communication is not good. If you'd like to maybe rehash and just summarize what you were saying there, because I had some thoughts that I wanted to raise with you regarding
Yes. So the feedback culture thing is huge. It's something that I've been noticing in my own family. It used to be that Christmas, everybody knows ukuthi siyekhangelana eShowe in the rural areas, and we're going to spend it there as a family. But because life happens, people get married, people live in different cities, and
sometimes people want to go on holiday.
Sometimes people want to go on holiday. Yeah. Sometimes people just want to be with their immediate families for Christmas.
Or they don't have money. Some of us don't have money to travel.
Or they don't have money, right? So, but then there's a subtle segregation that's been happening besides all of that I've picked up. And what I noticed was that at the core of it, it's the feedback culture problem, that you can't say to someone that what you've done has hurt me. So I'm just going to be mad. I'm not going to talk to you. I'm not going to see you guys. Bye. Don't need you. Which is incorrect, because family is very important. My umamkhulu wami once said to me that, I don't know if I can say this in Zulu, if I'm allowed to.
Please go for
people. Umuntu wangaphandle will always present themselves as better than your family, but they're not.
A person from outside, a stranger, will always present themselves as better as someone within the family.
Yes, as better than your family, and you may perceive that they are better than your family for whatever reason, but at the end of the day, they're not. Everybody is flawed, and you might find that even in their own families, there's issues there. So a lot of people will say, no, I'm building my own family now with my husband. But when you look at marriage in general, relationships in general, there's a lot of stuff that happens there. And we have all this forgiveness for our spouses. It's a lot. But when it comes to family, there's just this culture of cutoff.
Yeah.
And it's a bit toxic. Also, when you are given criticism, it's sometimes people don't know how to handle it or take it, so they get very upset.
And defensive.
I'm more defensive, but I'll always come back. But I'm very defensive when somebody brings information to me for the first time, but then I go back, I process, and I'm like, okay, maybe.
Shout out to you.
Yeah, because most of the time, we're all operating from our limbic system. So the challenge as a human being is for you to lengthen the time for the information to move from your limbic to your prefrontal cortex, which is where you reason. So a lot of the stuff is coming from here, from that system. So sometimes
is this almost like emotions versus logic?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So sometimes you need to just pull away for a second and come back. And then there's the issue of people who don't know how to apologize. There's so many layers. And also adults. A lot of people in the comments are like, yo, abazali. They don't apologize.
Never.
They don't take accountability. Someone even said, when you try to talk to them, they start crying. And then it's just like, leave her.
Leave her alone.
Leave her. So yeah, there's multiple layers to this issue. And when you speak to other people, you realize that there's a common thread amongst black families, that at some point we've all experienced this. And in my family for years, we've been the opposite. And we used to pride ourselves on being that family that's like this.
Sure.
And now I'm seeing the separation. So I had to call it out. Somebody sent that video. I didn't send it on the family group. I was a chicken. But my uncle found it on Twitter.
Criticism.
And he posted it on the group, and he was like, this is the realest thing ever.
Yeah.
And that opened up a conversation between us, which I appreciated, even though I did not have the guts to initiate.
How sad is it that you raising that is like a mind explosion thing versus but everyone knows this.
Yeah.
And I wonder if we ever had a culture pre-colonization that allowed for, because many people now, I mean, we were disturbed. We were disturbed by the Jan van Riebeecks, the Vasco da Gamas and the likes. We were disturbed by apartheid. We don't know naturally how our cultural practices, our lifestyles would have morphed over time without that disturbance.
Right.
Because what happened is we were fighting, we were being shifted off land, our fathers were being told to go work in the mines, so we don't know how we would have evolved. All we have is what we have now. But the thought of, did we ever have that? Because you'll hear my father, his father say things like, we could never speak to our fathers. So you're lucky that you get to speak to me. You could never speak back to elders. Children should be seen and not heard, etc. And I wonder if that's just a legacy of pre-colonial or something that disrupted. And it's something that not only affects the family, of which the family is probably the biggest casualty of this. You see it in black business.
Yeah.
Black business owners struggle with constructive criticism. We don't like your drink. If you don't like it, then I full sec. And you're like, can you not do something? I will like, see, and you're like, that can't be how you operate. And I remember writing a post at some point saying, people have had food poisoning from your KFCs and McDonald's.
Yeah.
But they keep going back. And the question is why? Why don't you guys give black businesses the same courtesy? I'm like, it's how that business reacts when you tell them I got food poisoning. First of all, we're so sorry.
Yep.
Can we give you a refund? Can we give you another thing?
Free meal.
We apologize. It's the way they handle it. Here, food poisoning, no, it's not us. Somewhere. I mean, no customer of mine has ever complained. You're the only one.
Yep.
And you're like, but I'm complaining. Can you please look into it? The businesses we have in townships versus suburbia, you look at the difference. I made an example of Spa. Uspa wase Lokshini, no Spa wase Sandton are very different. And to me, I think it's because it's not just Sandton magically is cleaner. I think the clientele in Sandton have got a higher desire for better service. So if they see the floors are dirty or the food is looking a bit offish, they go immediately to the manager.
Sorry. Look at that.
That's Karen for you, boy.
It's dirty.
Yes. And Lokshin is just like, oh, bega, they're clean. And then you just keep walking.
That's true.
And then things don't get better.
That's so accurate. And you're right. It's clearly a black issue. Because now you're making examples that are outside of the family. Something is wrong.
Yeah.
And we need to figure out what that thing is. But in order for us to figure it out, we need to be comfortable with having these conversations. And we need to get comfortable with actually saying, yo, this isn't it.
Yeah.
Improve here, improve here. And then if somebody chooses to be defensive about it and fight, that's on them. But at least you've given them that feedback.
Do you believe in honesty and transparency? Generally,
but I also believe in the grey banana.
What's the grey banana?
The grey banana is something that my therapist explained to me, is that if it's not going to contribute positively in the situation, it's okay for you to reserve the information for yourself. That's the grey banana.
Yeah.
But you would like to stay at around 90-95% honesty. Keep the other 5-10 for yourself.
What's the grey
Read
banana?
the room.
Is it the parts of the banana you break off and throw away?
I don't know.
You don't know where it comes from?
I don't know where it comes from.
Oh.
She just said it's the grey banana. And I was like, okay, I get that, you know. And this was during a session with my partner and I, because we were trying to figure out the whole 100% honesty thing in our relationship. And she was like, actually, 100% is sometimes not necessary.
Sure.
So I do believe in honesty when it's necessary, but in certain situations, you can read the room.